Hello YouTubes, this is Grimweird and welcome back to another episode of my Enigmatica 2 Expert Mod Pack playthrough for Minecraft 1.12.2. As always, we are joined by our lovely avatar, Zombie Steve. So this is just going to be a brief update while I continue on, but I'm opening up the third level from the bottom of our underground base here. So I'm just finishing up carving out a room here. One thing that's been handy is block reach, the enchantment block reach, which is allowing me to cut across the room like that. Gives me a really long reach for easy excavation. So I'm finishing up there. As you can tell by all these yellow dots, I've got the cave illuminator above my base. One of the next things I'm doing, so here you can see let's start at the bottom. So down here we're one block above bedrock, which is where I started, down where all the diamonds and good mining stuff is. So if you've been watching this series, you're familiar with this room. And then we went up a floor to build sort of our infrastructure devices. So we got our ME brains here, which we will expand by sending out chutes in all directions from our controller here. We've got our huge induction matrix, which is now up to over 10 billion RF is stored. We got our melon production center feeding into biofuel, and which feeds into ethylene, which feeds into our advanced generator here, which is doing 60,000 RF per tick. So this is going to be where our power comes up. This is where our ME is going to go up. And I decided to just take things up a notch, up a floor, and build all of my automated crafting on the next floor up, and just continue to sort of build upwards. So you're probably wondering what all this dirt is from. I'm doing an experiment to see if I can train the cave illuminator to place lights where I want them along the ceilings. So let's take a look. So no for this one. I did a trial run of this when I was testing this mod pack. Oh, there we go, there's one. So the goal here is to make a dark spot like that with these blocks, which then causes the cave illuminator to put a little wisp of light in there. And I don't know how successful I will be with this, but you can see I got a couple of them. Yeah, there's another. Let's open up some of these in the middle. Nope, not there yet. Yeah, there's one. That's good, because now I can reattach that pipe. Oops. Not there yet. Okay, so I'm going to continue to look for that and see how many of these are hooked up and ready to roll. Most of them still seem sort of dark. The cave illuminator hasn't been up that long. And as you can see, the ones that are outside of the dirt are ones that it sort of threw up while I was excavating and putting the ceiling in place. Hey, there's another one. So it looks like this may be working, although it may be slow. I may not end up with the density and pattern that I was shooting for here, but looks like we're going to have some lights in our ceilings, which will make things a little brighter and less glum down here. So I'm going to keep letting those dirt blocks do their work and see if the cave illuminator continues to fill things in. And I'm probably going to set up some dirt in the ceilings of here as well once I get the ceiling prepared. and see if I can do the same thing on this floor. So I just sort of wanted to tell you, I wanted to show the base renovations that I'm working on, and then we're going to continue on. So the actual thing that I'm going to be starting this time is a trial run of some automated crafting through the ME system of Applied Energistics. So I need to make some matter interfaces, some new machines, some crafting CPU, etc., etc. And we're going to pipe up power and ME tubes, network tubes, to this level and start filling it with machines and stuff to do auto crafting. But anyway, I just wanted a brief aside in the middle of all of this to show what kind of changes I was making to the base. And I'm going to cut here, and I will be back when I have some ME interface, automated crafting, etc. fun stuff to try out. Alright, another brief update. As you can see, my ceiling lights, using the Cave Illuminator from Astral Sorcery to spawn these yellow wispy lights all along the ceiling. That has worked pretty well. I sort of like it. I dig it. It's nice and bright in my underground layer now. I think these two are the only two that I'm still waiting on. And so that's going well. And I have finished sort of walling out the next floor, which is going to be a bunch of ME crafting stuff. And you can see I've set up little dark spots all along the ceiling that hopefully, hey, and there's one, that hopefully we will get more lights spawning in them to again sort of just cheery up the place and make it a bit more bright and inviting. And that seems to be working fine. Now what I'm not sure is, I'm not sure if all of these damn things increase any kind of lag, whether these little wisps here. They're not actually tiles, but if I need to, I can always get rid of them by just placing a block on them. So that's going along good, and meanwhile, while I've been waiting for lights to spawn, I've made a series of machines that I want to make process ME recipes for. So I got a spare metal. So basically, I didn't necessarily want to pull up all the machines down here until I make sure I get everything up and running. And I know I'm probably going to need multiple machines of some things, since I think only one ME interface can only hold, 9 patterns. And so things like the alloy furnace, I know I'm going to want to make more than 9 things there. So I made a spare alloy furnace. I made a spare enrichment chamber and metallurgic infuser. I've made 2 more crushers because I know there's lots of dust that I want to make. 2 crushers, and I might make a pulverizer too, just to have, and a macerator. I might try and leave most of the industrial craft stuff out of it just for simplification of supplying power, since industrial craft runs on a different set of power. I will need a compressor, so I will end up doing something with that. I just need to figure it out first. But for this first rush, I'm going to have a couple of crushers, and then I also, to get away from the sort of manual process of smelting things in the Tinker's Construct smeltery, I did make a couple of basic smelting factories from Mechanism. So the thing about these that I'm not 100% sure of is, so I had the basic one just does one thing at a time normally, or I mean the smelting factory itself. When I've upgraded it now to basic tier, it now has 3 things. I'm not 100% sure how that works and how a lot of this stuff works with, and if it works with the ME stuff. But I had a free, I think I had 2 free basic tier upgrades that I got from loot chests. So I figured I'd go ahead and give it a try. And when I do smelt, and when I decide I need a couple of stacks of iron ingots, I'm going to want to melt a lot of stuff fast. So hopefully those will work out for me. So yeah, I've got a bunch of candidate machines here for ME interfaces and for process auto crafting. That's going to be my trial run, and so next I'm going to run power and ME up to my new floor. So run this ME and this power up here through the floor or through the walls. and start putting these machines down here with ME interfaces on them. I need to make a bunch of patterns for processes. I need to make my CPU, my ME CPU stuff. So I need to make an ME CPU storage. I have no idea how much I'm going to need, but I might just make some coprocessors and some molecular assemblers for doing non-process stuff you would do on a crafting table. So lots and lots of things to do here, but I just wanted to give you another quick update on how the infrastructure is coming along. These last two lights would fill in, but they are resisting. Hey, there's one. So yeah, I'm going to continue to working on that. I'm going to make a bunch of ME components. I'm going to wire the upstairs, and I'll be back when I have some more advances to show you. Alright, I am back with more progress. So I finished taking the dirt down for my Astral Sorcery Cave Illuminator induced lighting, ceiling lighting, and it turned out alright. It's definitely bright and cheery in here. I need to work out some floor lighting, possibly with jack-o'-lanterns covered by carpet or some other stuff, so I can get rid of all the torches on the floor and make myself some foot room here. I did also, let's see if the lighting is coming along up here. Yes. So the new floor that we're going to be expanding to with a lot of automated crafting, that lighting is coming along as well. So I can pull that all down and make this all look nice. Cool. And so what I've been doing is I've made sort of just some basic starting components to some automated crafting, because I've never actually done automated crafting, and this is all new territory for me. You might be saying, why the hell are you playing an expert pack? Well, because it's forcing me to learn all this stuff. I tend to do things the easiest and simplest ways if I'm not forced to experiment, and so this is making me try out a bunch of new stuff. So already I'm seeing that I have some problems here in my understanding. But if we go back here, let's cancel this bad boy. So what I've got set up is a molecular assembler, which is essentially a crafting table. And I've got a pattern encoded for it to turn 1 glowstone into 4 glowstone dust. And I think that seems to be working. So if I come here, I go glowstone. So if I just pull this out just so I can see what I've got. So now I can craft it. I have none up there. And if I hit craft 10 next, it says I have 3 available, which are the 3 needed to craft this. Everything looks fine here. If I hit start, oh, there it goes. Crafting status, it is done. And yeah, it made the 12 glowstone. So that is working. Throw that all back up there. So let's see, if I have 145, just make sure I understand the system. If I do that, and tell it, say I want 4, start, 149. Alright, so that's all working. I'm not 100% sure this bad boy is working though, so what I've got here is a device interface for an ME pattern to turn 1 iron ore into 2 pulverized iron through the crusher. Let's see, I think I'm missing a step there where I'm missing something there, but let me just check it out here. So pulverized. Alright, I have nothing in there. I'm going to say craft 10. I've got the 5 available. It's going to craft 10. It's only using 44 bytes. I got 1K in my CPU. Start. If I check it, it says it's crafting. It's green. That is good. If I go here, it is doing its thing. Slowly. I got to slap some upgrades in this bad boy. So what I think happened the first time I tried this was that it got done and it sucked the pulverized iron into the ME system, but it didn't conclude the crafting order, so I'm a little confused. So I want to watch what's going on here. And maybe I need some sort of import bus or something. Doesn't seem like I should. Maybe I do. So it's made the 10, but the status has not cleared, and the 10 are just sitting there. Alright, so I must need to have something different about all of this that allows it to suck things. Alright, so I will play with this a bit and get back to it. So, yeah, I got to figure out how to make it conclude this and suck these back in and consider it done. And maybe I need to not use a crusher, maybe I need to do something that'll auto-eject, or I don't know. I will check on it and get back to you. But progress is being made on our automated crafting, so I'm liking it. Once I figure out what's going on, I'll figure out where I want to expand to and how I want to set up a CPU and give myself plenty of room and start hooking up machines, probably upstairs, bank of machines, run power and ME cable up there and see what I can do. Be right back. Okay, I'm back once again. So I guess my extra utilities crusher doesn't have the ability to send things back out to the ME interface. So I didn't want to necessarily pipe things out of it to an import bus or anything like that. Just for test purposes, I just want to make sure things are working. So what I've done is I've taken a pulverizer and I've set it to I think now it'll import and export everything. So blue is input, and then orange is export. So now it'll export out the top and import out the top with the ME interface there. So if I go back over here and see, I've got 11, so I'm going to hit the middle button. It's a trick I learned while I was trying to figure this out, to go straight to crafting, and I'm going to hit 10. I'm going to say start, and now it's doing its thing, and it is taking it back up through the ME interface. So I should now have 21. Yes. Beautiful. Alright, so my process pattern for turning one ore into 2 pulverized iron is good. My glowstone pattern is good, so I have both process and normal crafting patterns working. I've got some storage here. I have the beginnings of auto crafting. Now all I need to do is scale it up. So probably going to end this episode right here, and then I will work on scaling all this up and organizing it and setting up a much bigger CPU so I can handle more at a time, setting up more machines someplace organized, like up on my new level, and just setting up more stuff in general to make sure that I'm going to check and see if my lights are still coming on. Yeah, my lights are still coming on. So yeah, I'll run some power in ME up here, and I'll set up a bunch of machines up here and make a bunch of process patterns, and I'll set up a brick of molecular assemblers for these guys for doing crafting station patterns. And I'll need like a bunch more of all of this stuff. I think one of the first thing I'm going to do is make patterns for making the components of making more of this stuff. So for instance, if I'm looking at making a bunch of 4K crafting storage for my CPU so that I can handle lots of crafting jobs and big crafting jobs, I'm going to set up the recipes to make iron ingots and all of these stuff here. So I'll need to figure out how to get all of that working so that I can then automate the expansion of my ME crafting system, bootstrap myself into it that way. So that's going to take a lot of off-camera crafting, but we're going to get to it and get all this organized. The good news is I've got things started, and I seem to understand how things are working. So that's the hardest step sometimes. Now all I got to do is scale up, and that's the time-consuming step sometimes when I find out that I don't have all the components I need. So yeah, that's where we're at, and I'm going to end the episode here, and next time, hopefully, I will come back with a bunch of expansion of our automated crafting, and we'll see where we stand. Bye.